Hey babe, welcome to Baseball for Girls, where baseball meets soft girl energy. I'm Shaughnessy, and here we do baseball with heart, humanity, and a little humor. So, whether you're brand new to the game or deep in your baseball era, you're in the right place. So grab something cozy and settle in, and let's get into today's episode. Let's play ball. Hey babes, welcome back to another episode of Baseball for Girls. And this week we're going to be doing another recap for the week of June 15th through the 21st. So just to go ahead and jump right in, the weekly vibe for this week that I was picking up on was that pitchers were really dominating. So there were several pitchers this week that had really good games. In fact, Logan Gilbert was a starting pitcher of the Seattle Mariners. He won Player of the Week this week, and that was attributed to his 18 strikeouts and only giving up 5 hits in 13 and a third innings pitched. So that was really impressive to do in a week. But for his most recent game versus the Orioles, so he played that game on Tuesday, which would have been, I guess, the 16th. Yes, Tuesday the 16th. He played 7 innings, only gave up 2 hits and 1 run and 1 walk with 10 strikeouts. So he had a really good game that day. But other pitchers that I really wanted to mention are Dustin May. So he just did a complete game versus the Padres last Monday on June 15th. So Dustin May is the starting pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. He pitched full game, so 9 innings pitched with only 1 hit given up, no runs, and only 1 walk. 9 innings pitched. He played the entire game. So that was pretty incredible. And then from the Yankees, Cam Schlittler, he pitched 6 innings, only giving up 4 hits, no runs, no walks, and 13 strikeouts in a very dominant 5-0 win versus Cincinnati Reds this past weekend on Friday. And Kyle Bradish from the Baltimore Orioles, who's like my favorite pitcher, he played on Wednesday versus the Mariners, and he got a win. He pitched 7 2/3 of an inning, gave up 5 hits, only 1 run, and only 1 walk, and he had 12 strikeouts, which was the most that he had so far this season. So really the pitchers this week were on their A game, and honestly, I just find pitchers incredibly impressive anyway. Now moving on to the sweeps from this past week. So during the weekday series, the Dodgers swept the Rays, the Twins swept the Rangers, the Blue Jays swept the Red Sox, and the Giants swept the Braves, which was quite surprising because the Braves are still the best team in baseball. And over this past weekend, the Tigers swept the White Sox, and the Marlins swept the Giants. So for my sneaky team of the week, I am choosing the Athletics. So the Athletics have been doing, pretty well for the kind of team that they are. But this past weekend, on Friday, they played the Angels. So it was Angels at Athletics. And I was actually watching that game. And in the 4th inning, the Angels scored 7 times, which was, 7 times in an inning is pretty, remarkable. And, it kind of just felt like, oh, well, they're up by 7. It's probably going to be a wash of a game. But in baseball, we know, 4th inning is still pretty early in the game. That game went on to extra innings, and the final score was 12-11 for the Athletics. So the Athletics won 12-11 in a walk-off fashion. So in the bottom of the 10th, the Athletics actually won because of a walk-off walk. So the bases were loaded. The batter at the plate ended up walking. And because he walked, that drove in a run. And that run is what won the game. So it was a ridiculous game, honestly, to watch. But to just see the Athletics climb back from nothing and win after being down 7, I mean, that's a team that you need to be watching out for. And now for the teams that are heating up and cooling down. So we're doing our temperature check. So this week I'm going to start with the teams that are heating up. So the Miami Marlins, they have been doing really well. They've been playing very good baseball. For the month of June, the Miami Marlins are dominating baseball. They have a 15-4 record for the month of June. But overall, their record is 40 wins to 38 losses, so just above 500 at 513. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now, and they've won 7 and lost 3 of their past 10 games. What's really interesting about the Miami Marlins for this season is that they are the only team to give pitching losses to Shohei Ohtani, Paul Skeens, and Jacob Misiorowski, who is, all of those pitchers are like the most dominant pitchers in baseball right now. They are all up as candidates for Cy Young, which is, the award given to like the best pitcher from the past year or the past season. And none of them could beat the Miami Marlins. So they are truly heating up. The other team that I think is heating up right now are the Chicago White Sox. They have been playing some pretty good baseball. The White Sox were actually in the first place in the AL Central for a little while, but now the Guardians are back on top. But the White Sox are only 1 game behind. They have won 20 of their last 24 home games, and in that, they've won 8 consecutive home series, including ones that were versus the Braves and the Dodgers. Currently, the White Sox are actually on a 3-game losing streak. Like I mentioned, they were just swept this past weekend by the Detroit Tigers. And they've won 4 and lost 6 of their past 10 games, but overall they've won 39 and lost 37 of their total games, placing them right above 500 at 513, so the same record as the Marlins statistically. And as for the teams that are cooling down, the Texas Rangers are the team that I think is starting to struggle a little bit. They were just recently swept by the Twins. Like I mentioned, during the week, they won their most previous game, but they have been losing a lot of series as of late. Right now, they are 37-40, so 37 wins to 40 losses, bringing them below 500 at 481, and they've won 4 and lost 6 of their past 10 games. And another team that I wanted to point out as cooling down is actually the Braves. I mean, granted, taking this with a grain of salt because the Braves are the best team in baseball right now, statistically. So they do have a lot of leeway to have a bit of a slump because right now they have recently been swept by the Giants this past week, like I mentioned. And like I mentioned too, the Giants were just swept by the Marlins. So it's not like the Giants are some, super dominant team. And the Braves have won 3 and lost 7 of their past 10 games. But currently they are 48-28, so 48 wins to 28 losses, bringing them well above 500 at 632. So like I mentioned, they definitely have some give. But it's just strange to see the Braves lose so much and so often in this past month. And now for the home run leaderboards. So Kyle Schwarber at the top still with 29 home runs. So Kyle Schwarber is the designated hitter for the Philadelphia Phillies. And then Yordan Alvarez is also a designated hitter for the Houston Astros. He has 25 home runs. And we have Byron Buxton. He is a center fielder for the Minnesota Twins. He has climbed up to 24 home runs. And so those are the top 3 home run leaders as of right now. And I just love keeping up with this and just seeing Kyle Schwarber every single time I do this. But my favorite statistic from this week is PCA, so Pete Crow-Armstrong. He won Player of the Week this week for the National League because he hit for the cycle on Monday. So hitting for the cycle, it means that the player was able to get a home run, a double, a triple, and a single. So getting all the options of hits that you can have in a single game. So his first at-bat, he hit a home run. The second at-bat, he got a triple. The third at-bat, he got a double. And in his last at-bat, he got the single. He's also the first Cub to hit in a cycle in reverse order because it was home run, triple, double, single. And this is the 13th cycle in all of Cubs history. So obviously that's incredibly impressive. Hitting for the cycle is really hard and obviously incredibly rare. And so props to PCA. We love him. And for my softer take for this week, I think that never giving up is really the theme of this week and just of baseball in general. Just thinking back to the Athletics and just any of the games where teams come from behind. Like, even when things are looking not great and it seems like it might be easier to just give up, you should always take whatever opportunities you have and use them to your greatest advantage because you never know what's going to happen at the end of the game. And finally, for the games that I'm excited for this upcoming week, the Marlins are going to be playing the Rangers. So the team I said was heating up, the Marlins, is playing the team that I said might be cooling down in the Rangers. So that'll be interesting to see if the Marlins can maintain their winning streak and go to 5 games in a row, or if the Rangers are going to snap out of their little slump and beat the very dominant Marlins. The other matchup I'm excited for this week is the Braves versus the Padres. So, like I mentioned, the Braves have not been having a good go at it lately, and now they're playing an inter-league game versus the Padres, who are not the best team in baseball right now, but they play very good baseball. They've been starting to heat up a lot more lately, and currently they have won 39 and lost 37 total, which brings them right above 500 at 513. They've lost 5 and won 5 of their past 10 games, and they just lost a game yesterday and also lost that series versus the Rangers this weekend. So they are still trying to find their rhythm. So it'll be interesting interleague game to watch. And then for over the weekend, I'm excited to see the Cubs versus the Brewers series, mostly because it's an interdivision series. So we know that the Cubs and the Brewers are both in the National League Central. The National League Central has been dominating baseball this entire season. The Pirates got back above 500, but now the Reds are a little bit below 500. I believe they're at 481. So they do have one team that's no longer above 500, but they are still the best division right now. So it'll be super fun to watch the Cubs versus the Brewers and see who's going to win. Right now, the Cubs have won 6 and lost 4 of their past 10 games. They've won 40 and lost 37 overall, bringing them to above 500 at 519. The Brewers are currently at the top of the division. They've won at 46 and lost 29, bringing them well above 500 at 613. They've won 5 and lost 5 of their past 10, and they've won their most recent game. But honestly, this will also be really interesting to watch because it is a rematch. Since the Cubs and Brewers are in the same division, they will be playing each other quite often. So they've already played each other, and the Brewers swept the Cubs at the end of May at Wrigley Field, so at the Cubs' home stadium. So it'll be interesting to see in this rematch if the Cubs will sweep or take the series from the Brewers at their home stadium. And so I think those will be some pretty good games to watch. So you should definitely keep an eye out for those. Okay, babes, I think that's all I have for you today. I am officially back in America. I arrived last Wednesday. So I'm back on the East Coast, and I'll be able to watch games more consistently and not having to just watch reruns and recaps the next day all the time, and really be able to keep up a lot better. And so I'm really excited for that. And stay tuned for my tiny baseball lessons episodes where I kind of just give mini lessons in baseball. The next one will be on pitchers and like how pitchers are assigned a win or loss or no decision, and just like a bunch of little quirks about pitchers. So that'll be the next tiny baseball lessons episode, which will go along with the position series where I go through every position and kind of give a quick little overview to help you get a better understanding of what the position does. So yeah, I hope you'll tune in for that, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. Thank you for joining me in the softest corner of sports media, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Oh my gosh, wait. Hey babes, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Baseball for Girls. I probably forgot to plug the things that I'm doing, including my Instagram, so I just wanted to come back here and plug all my little things really quick. So my Instagram is baseball4girls_, and I just kind of post on there whenever I upload a new episode. I also have a baseball score tracker. It has about 40 weeks in it, and it has like some notes sections so that you can also keep track of games throughout the week. I use it for Major League Baseball games, but you can also use it for minor league games, your kids' games, your friends that are playing baseball, whatever. It's really just a nice way to keep track of all the games and the scores from each game, especially since baseball is typically played in series. So you should check that out. It's just called Baseball Score Log, and it can be found on Amazon, and it's only $9.99. I also include how I personally keep track of games as a little bit of an instruction guide on the first couple of pages, so you can keep score like the same way that I do. Also, I am in the process of writing a ebook, so it'll be a Baseball for Beginners ebook that I have been working on for the past couple of weeks. It'll just kind of walk through the rules of the game, how to watch it for the first time, and just give you a general idea for how to understand baseball from a very, very basic perspective. So I'll definitely let y'all know whenever that is available. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.